So here we are in Proteus, and let's imagine that at this point we've set up our organization in the admin console. We've also set up our resources and a number of cost and rate tables. And at this point, we're ready to create a new proposal to issue to a client. So let's follow this flow: proposal creation. When I enter the proposals section of Proteus, I'm presented with this summary table showing my entire portfolio of proposals. I can see here a number of key metrics and also a search field for my entire portfolio. In the table of proposals, I have a number of columns for reference, title, company, office, proposal manager, budget, created by, the due date, and then I also have a column with the status of each proposal. On the right hand side, for each proposal, I also have a menu which gives me the option to clone, delete, and edit my proposals. At the top left is a call to action which I use to create proposals. When I click on this, I get the option to create a new proposal or to create a proposal from a template. I have a pre-populated list of templates that I manage in my admin console. In this case, I'm going to create a new proposal. When I do that, I open up this setup modal and I'm presented with a number of different fields, drop downs, text boxes. I have to populate these in order to set up my proposal, so let's imagine I go ahead and do that. I populate a proposal title, a manager, a description, a company contact, the contract I'm using, the contract type, the office, the billing type, the bid type, the due date, the estimated value, and also a go and a get probability. And I go ahead and click create. At this point, I enter the main screen from where we will be building our proposal. We'll work our way through the various sections from left to right. On the left hand side, we have a side panel that gives me some summary information from the proposal setup. I'm able to re-enter the setup modal from this button, and I also have the status down here which mirrors what we have on the proposal summary page. I have a number of different actions I can use. I also have some key figures on the bottom half of the side panel: the number of hours, the total price for team resource, equipment resource, software resource, expenses, purchase costs, markup and margin. I then also have the total price of the proposal. Before we create our proposal, let's imagine we want to re-enter the setup modal to make some changes. We can very quickly change any of these fields. Let's imagine we want to change the description and then we select update. Let's start building our proposal. If we were to do this in a document, we might start by creating introduction, scope, and methodology sections. And that's what we're going to do here. So first of all, here in the introduction section, I have fairly standard text editing tools. I can make my text bold, italic, underlined. I can add bullets. I can indent the text. I can add tables and images. I can also add links. It's not the intention at this stage to create a polished document. I have all of the options I need to create hierarchy and structure. I can select body text, headers, subheaders, figures, and tables. And I can create a very rudimentary introduction section, and when I go to build my proposal, style and branding will be applied for me. So let's go ahead and populate our introduction. I filled out the text box and applied some very basic formatting. At this point, I'm going to add some scope. I fill out the text box as before, and you'll see here that I've added some very basic formatting for structure. Now, when I go into the methodology section, I'm presented with two options: to populate this manually with a similar type of text box, or I can auto-populate my methodology in the final proposal using the WBS and plan as the basis. We'll see how that works very shortly. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and create my work breakdown structure. This is essentially the structure and hierarchy for all of the tasks I will be performing under this proposal, also known as work packages. So I can go ahead and create a work package using this button. I give it a title, and I could also fill out the scope and input. In this case, I'll just add it as a placeholder and populate it later. For now, I'll add another work package. Again, I'll give it a title and I'll add it. I'll just continue to add more work packages and build up my work breakdown structure. I can add child work packages from the right hand menu and just populate them in the same way. See how the hierarchy is built up in my table. And I'll just continue to do that until I've created a substantial work breakdown structure. Just add one more in for good measure, and this time I'll add a title and I'll also add some scope and some input. I can use the S-curve selector to indicate how I anticipate my man hours to be distributed, linearly, front-end loaded, back-end loaded, or with an S-curve profile. I can also add a start and end date for each work package. Here I've used the automatic option. And with some presentation magic, let's imagine I've added a couple more work packages. My work breakdown structure is now complete. At this point, using work package 3.1.2 as an example, I'm going to show how we can add some deliverables. We can use the add button here to create a new deliverable, and a sequential numbering system is applied. We can fill out the deliverable name, apply a multiplier, use the clone, or delete. Again, with some presentation magic, let's imagine we add 3 more deliverables and update our work package. Now in this example, we can add some team resource to our work package. We go into this tab here and we select the add button. Here we're presented with a resource selector, a rate table selector, we're given a base rate, we can add a markup if we like, and we also have to specify a number of units, which might typically be in hours. So let's go ahead and populate all of these fields. Here I've added a process engineer, job group 3, and I've selected from the available rate tables. My rate tables already include some markup. I've updated the units and I can now add this resource. Now let's go ahead and add a second resource for check-in and approval. I follow the same procedure and I fill out the units and add the resource. You'll notice that the total for each resource is shown here and I have the summation at the bottom. You'll also see that my work breakdown structure and the side panel have updated to reflect these changes. In a similar way, I can add other resources to my work breakdown structure: equipment, software, expenses, purchase costs, and an overall markup. Finally, I have this summary tab with a cost and price summary for all of the different types of resource I've added to my work package. I can now just go ahead and update the work package. Now let's imagine I do the same for all of the work packages in my work breakdown structure and I build up a total price, hours, and margin for my proposal. I can see how all of my different resources are spread across my work breakdown structure using these tabs across the top to look at team resource, equipment resource, software resource, expenses, purchase costs, deliverables, and even milestones. It's just another way of looking at the same data, but a useful way to make updates based on the type of resource. Now let's take a look at the team section. I'm going to go ahead and add a specific team member to my proposal. I'm going to go ahead and add myself, and I'm also going to assign a role. I'll nominate myself as the study lead and add myself to the team. Let's go ahead and expand on the team. I'll add another beneath James. Let's say this time I pick Susan, and I'll nominate Susan as a lead process engineer, and she's now been added too. Fast forward a little and you can see how I've added a structured team to my proposal. These might, for instance, just be the key players that I believe will help me to win the proposal. So let's go ahead and look at the plan section. This plan's been built up using our work breakdown structure. It utilises the start and end dates that I specified at that time and builds up the project plan as a Gantt chart. There are some additional tabs here that we won't look at in detail today. Experience allows me to attach details of other jobs which I think will help me to win the proposal. I can go ahead and build the proposal at this point, and I can also attach files as well. At this point, let's go ahead and build our proposal. Here I'm going to use the outputs from all of the preceding sections to help build up my proposal. It's at this point that my company brand and a sleek format is applied. I can now use these checkboxes to elect which sections I want to include in the proposal: introduction, scope, and for methodology you'll recall that I set that to auto-populate from my work breakdown structure and the plan. I need to pick a level from my work breakdown structure hierarchy that corresponds to the level of detail that I want in my methodology section. Here I'll go down to the second level of the hierarchy. I can add in plan, team, and commercial sections. Here I have my work breakdown summary and the detail too. So at this point, let's take a look at the proposal we've generated. Note that I have a zoom slider at the top to aid with visibility. Here we have my cover page with all the information you might expect, and also some formatting and branding automatically applied. On the right hand side, I get some affordance for the following page. I can use the pagination at the bottom to navigate through the preview of the proposal document. When I navigate to page 2, first off, I have a revision table at the bottom. and have similar information to the cover sheet as well. If I navigate to page 3, here I have a typical table of contents. It reflects all of the sections that I've elected to include in the proposal. So let's quickly tab through some of these pages. You can see that the introduction section has been pulled through, and it's been formatted in alignment with the basic selections I made earlier. Similarly, with page 5, I have the scope that I populated, and the basic formatting has been pulled through and given some extra polish. The new methodology section reflects the level of the work breakdown structure hierarchy that I elected on the left-hand side with my checkbox. Each section is populated with the scope and inputs that I entered under each work package. Finally, we have this flow diagram, which is auto-generated using the work breakdown structure, the selected hierarchy level, and the plan. If we move on to page 9, we can see that our plan, Gantt chart, and our team structure have been auto-populated. Finally, at least for the purposes of this demonstration, we have our commercial information, a general section, we have a summary of our work breakdown, and then we can see on the following page we're going to get some more detail of that work breakdown structure and the individual CTRs. But at this point, let's say we're now ready to have our proposal checked and approved. We navigate over to this button on the left hand side and we pull up an approvers modal. Here we can add any number of approvers from a pre-populated list. In our example, we'll just add one, Jennifer White. We select her in the drop down and add her to the approvers list. Let's go ahead and send this proposal to Jennifer for approval, and we get an affirmation at the top to confirm we've done that. When Jennifer opens Proteus, she will get a notification requesting that she approves this proposal. She may reject the proposal and pass comments offline, or she may go ahead and approve it, and at that point, our proposal revision table on the second page will update to show this. So let's now imagine that Jennifer has approved the proposal. We are free to go ahead and send it to the client. We use this button over here to send the proposal, and we're presented with a modal that acts as a gatekeeper just to ensure we're ready to do that. And we can go ahead and click OK, or we can cancel and reassess the situation. Here we'll click OK, and again we get an affirmation at the top to let us know we've done that. If we go back to our proposal summary page, we can see that the proposal has been added as a new line item to our portfolio and its status is now sent.